Friends, tell me if this feels true to you. That our work in the world, what we dedicate our time and energy to, is not something that is static, something that is inert. It's something alive, something that is dynamic, that moves and changes and grows with us. Our work in the world is something with which we have a relationship. And like any relationship, it grows and changes over time. We can come to deepen our understanding of what our work really is. What is it about? What is it intended to do out in the world? Even when we have carefully designed that work in the past, it takes on its own life as it goes out into the world, and it can teach us more about what it truly is when we honor that relationship and allow it to be dynamic and fluid. That is something that I've really been working with and coming to an excited place with lately as my own work teaches me more about what it is that I'm here to do. And I wanted to share a little bit about that with you today and share about some new content that will be coming onto this channel as a result. So friends, welcome back to HeartScapes, where we're learning the systems of Reiki and SoulCollage to live lives that are rooted, spacious, connected, and that provision us for our journey home to ourselves. My name is Michaela. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the studio. I'm just kind of curled up here in a cozy corner of the studio today because we're having a little bit of a story time. I wanted to share a little bit of more about what we do here at HeartScapes. This channel has focused primarily on our work with Reiki, which really is the heart of what I bring to the world. But there's also another heart of that work, another practice and other supporting practices that actually have been with me longer than the system of Reiki. And that what I've been learning as I deepen my relationship with HeartScapes, with this work, and with all of you who join me in this space, is that there's a common theme, a deep, deep river of connection between the practices and modalities and systems of thought that have risen to the surface, that have stayed present in my life and in my work for many, many years. And that thread, that deep river, can be summarized in the way that I introduce these videos. Practices that allow us to live lives that are rooted, spacious, connected, and that provision us for the journey home to ourself. This concept of provisioning us for the journey home has been one that has been with me for a long time, but it's really risen in potence and importance for me lately as I have been working with my new batch of students going through my 9-month Reiki program. It really is clarifying that this truly is the thread that we follow to this work. The people who choose to work with me are all on a journey home to themselves and seeking to be deeply and abundantly provisioned for that journey. And the system of Reiki is, of course, a beautiful provision in all of its manifestations, its elements, its practices. And this channel, of course, provides lots and lots of examples of that, practices, perspectives, teachings. That's what I've been here doing with you for the past few years. But I've wanted for quite some time to incorporate the practice of SoulCollage more deeply into this channel. I've talked about it a few times previously. There was a video that really described this process of intuitive collaging that is designed to give vision and voice to aspects of our inner landscape, aspects of ourselves, to help us better understand that landscape, better understand our impulses, our beliefs, our motivations, to help us be provisioned to come home to our whole self. And I'll put the link for that video down below so that you can get a little bit more context for what SoulCollage is. But it's been a little bit challenging for me to figure out how to present this practice to you here on the channel in these kind of shorter formats, because it's a process that tends to take a little bit of time to work with. I've shared a few examples of readings with the cards, how to work with them, and I'll continue to share those as well. And it occurred to me that there is a creative and concise way that I can continue sharing this practice of SoulCollage with you, and the way in which it has impacted my life, and practical ways in which we can think about incorporating this practice into our daily life, helping use it as a tool for diagnostics, a tool for exploration, a tool for decision making around the things that matter to us. Because as I often say here, if our practices can't be incorporated into our daily life, ready at the hand in the moment that we need it, they are of limited usefulness to us. And so that method is to share with you brief essays that I have written over the years for SoulCollage publications. I write quarterly for a publication called Soul Songs that is through an organization called Kaleidosoul. Kaleidosoul is an amazing organization that consolidates information and teachings and writings and videos and many, many classes about the practice of soul collage. And I have been collaborating with the founder of Kaleidosoul, Anne-Marie Bennett, for many years, and I write for her newsletter 4 times a year. So I have a collection of these writings, just short essays that explore an aspect of my life that I have engaged with the practice of soul collage to help me understand or bring to light. And I want to just share those articles with you. And so in this series of videos, I'm going to just basically read one of them to you and share the cards that are relevant to that essay and any other pieces that are referenced in there to help us get a grounding for this practice and how it works in our life. In this way, I believe I can more fully and more deeply, more thoroughly flesh out the ways in which this work at HeartScapes helps to provision us for the journey home to ourself, to offer you a creative way of doing that exploration yourself with a little bit of instruction. And if this is something you want to explore more deeply, you want to work with the system of soul collage, there are many ways in which we can work together. I'll put some links down below on learning more about that. So for this first video in this series, I thought I would start with my soul collage story. This was an essay that I was invited to write for Soul Songs a little while ago that just explains how I came to the practice of soul collage and why it's meaningful to me, why I do the work that I do with this practice. So that is where we are going to begin. So friends, welcome to my soul collage story. Hope you enjoy. It was late 2012. I was serving as director of the Institute for Civic Leadership at Mills College, and I'd been asked to lead some very difficult conversations. The whole school community, students, faculty, staff, alumni, were wrestling with an issue and related series of decisions that had struck a very deep chord at the identity of this 150-year-old institution. In service of unity and positive movement, a handful of us were asked to lead heartful, honest, challenging conversations among the various stakeholders. To say that I was nervous would be an understatement. There was so much riding on positive resolution to this issue, and while I had gone through mediation trainings and I'd been navigating difficult interpersonal dynamics among my students for many years, I definitely felt out of my comfort zone with this one. How do I support people in finding compassion across difference in beliefs, especially when they feel threatened? How do I guide them to a resolution that feels at least acceptable when folks' identities and personal histories are involved? Above all, how do I ease people out of or around their defensiveness to see that essentially everyone involved wanted the same thing, to feel welcomed, that they belong within a community that reflects their identities and their values? I brought these questions to my friend and colleague, Laura, the chaplain of the school, who was also involved in facilitating these conversations. Her advice changed my life. To paraphrase, she advised me, "You've got to help them shift their focus away from blaming and attacking each other, and onto an honest exploration of what they are really feeling about the situation and why. They need to speak to each other from their own needs and fears, their own insights, rather than from their accusations of each other." Laura suggested that I use some form of intuitive creative process and described something she'd experienced at a chaplaincy retreat called soul collage. She couldn't quite remember all the elements of the practice, but what she described excited me, both as an artist and as a mediator. This would be my pathway into the murky waters of these conversations. And it worked beautifully. I was amazed at how readily people took to this process, It softened them into their own experiences and revealed some of the underlying beliefs and fears that were complicating their feelings on the issue. Significantly, it got them curious about each other and about what would be revealed when they looked at their colleagues and at their community. I was instantly hooked, and I spent the evening poring over the SoulCollage website and many others dedicated to this magical process. By the end of the evening, I determined to attend a facilitator training. I needed this practice in my life. So over for the next few months, I worked through Sina Frost's book, SoulCollage Evolving. Sina Frost was the founder of the process. To begin my fledgling deck, and I ran a GoFundMe campaign to humbly ask my community to help send me to the training. And the next year, in 2013, I was honored to participate in one of the last trainings that Sina Frost helped to facilitate before she passed away. SoulCollage has been an intimate part of my personal practice and my work ever since. Finding it to be an elegantly flexible practice, I've been able to bring it into a wide variety of spaces, including churches, government offices, conferences, universities, corporate and nonprofit spaces, and as a coaching process for my own clients and students through HeartScapes. And in each of these spaces, SoulCollage never fails to delight and amaze participants who can hardly believe what becomes possible when we shine a light of curiosity and compassion into our internal landscape. And what can happen when we do that in community. In 2014, I began training as a Reiki practitioner and eventually found my way to the original Japanese form of this meditative practice for self-discovery and healing, growing from Buddhist origins. I was delighted to realize that Reiki in its original form and SoulCollage share the same goal, to guide us back into relationship with and understanding of our true self, to live our lives rooted, spacious, connected, an integrated body, mind, heart, and spirit that grows from a deep sense of self-knowledge and self-compassion. They were both a compass leading to the same destination along different roads. The alchemy between these two practices became the heart of my work and remains so to this day. When I left Mills in 2017, HeartScapes opened in my imagination a pathway to continue training people in leadership to change the world, but doing so this time from the inside out, from the tender places within us that are longing to speak to us, longing to be welcomed back into the whole of who we are. That, friends, was my journey into the practice of SoulCollage and then into the practice of Reiki and the alchemy between them. I'm excited to share this practice with you. I'd love to answer any questions you might have about it, and I look forward to sharing more of these writings. I love writing these little essays. They're just short, concise glimpses back into my experience with this practice. It's always a delightful process to go through, and I hope it's a delightful story to listen to as we move forward. So friends, thanks so much for joining me for this SoulCollage story time. I look forward to sharing more of them with you. And as you go throughout the rest of your day, may you be deeply provisioned for that journey. Thanks so much for being with me. I love you. Till next time. Goodbye.